We're good to go, man.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
As always. Thank you, Vanessa. Well, good morning to everybody and welcome. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, February 6, 2024. We're glad that you're all here. We will note that the meeting is being live streamed and also being recorded. We would ask if you have an electronic communication device, if you'd be kind enough to put it on silent or vibrate. We would appreciate that courtesy. We always start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'd ask you to remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Commissioner Sonata, would you lead us in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing, and we'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sarnado,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Vogler.
Here. We have a quorum. As long as there are two of us here, we're able to conduct business. Today we have three. Did everybody get an agenda? Okay, good. Explanation of procedures for audience. I'll just note that at every meeting, every public meeting we have two opportunities for public comment. One in just a few moments, one before we adjourn. If you're visiting us today, you are welcome to speak both times. You're welcome to speak one of the two times, or if you're just here to listen, that's fine. It's your call. We would ask that your questions or comments be related to county government matters. If it's a state issue, we'd suggest you talk to your state representatives or state senators and so on. And also, if you're able to limit your time to about 5 minutes, if you could, please, out of respect for everybody's schedules. But again, you're very welcome to comment if you'd like. Next on the agenda, we always set aside time for any of our elected row officers if they have any business to bring before us. But none of them are here, so I'm assuming today they don't. That takes us to public comment. If you have something you'd like to say, we just request for the record that you tell us your name, and I'll open it up if anybody has a question or a comment. Mr. Burchett.
Bob Burchett. I represent the taxpayers of Lawrence County. I received my tax notice in the mail, my bill for the year, and I'm just a little concerned that the money is spent wisely. I'm surprised sometimes how easy it is to get money out of you guys. 2 weeks ago, a guy come in and all went poof, there went $130,000 for a house, a halfway house, the way I understood it. Now I thought, this house is being taken off the tax rolls, and so I got to pay more now for that house. And so I'm just surprised how much money goes through this office. I think the county government should be the courts and the sheriff and the jail. And a lot of times you get tied up in other things. I see there's a nutrition program coming up, and I scratch my head and wonder whether the county government should really be in a nutrition program. But I'll sit here and find out how much money goes to the nutrition program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burchett. Are there other public comments at this time? Hearing none, and again, we'll open it up before we adjourn if you think of something between now and then that you'd like to bring to our attention. Under fiscal and contractual, and I might add, the documents that we'll be referring to will be available if anybody wishes to take a look at them. At most of our meetings, we receive from the Comptroller's Office what we refer to as the warrant registers. They're also known as the check reconciliation registers. And that's a listing of the bills that have been paid. And these are dated January 29, January 31, and February 2 Gentlemen, I'll give you whatever time you need to look them over. And whenever one of you is ready, I can take a motion for us to accept these documents. Please take your time.
I move we accept these documents.
Thank you, Mr. Sanada. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Gentlemen, any questions on the warrant registers? Hearing none, the motion is to accept them. I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the minutes of the January 30 meeting. It's not a week ago today. Again, gentlemen, take whatever time you need to look them over. And whenever you're ready, I can take a motion for us to adopt the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 30th, 2024.
I'll second that motion.
Gentlemen, thank you both. Any questions or comments regarding the minutes? Or any corrections? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you, Vanessa. Next on the agenda would be commissioner reports and comments. Each time we meet, we move around the table and give each commissioner an opportunity to give any updates they might wish to. And today, Commissioner Kennedy, you get to go first.
Well, one thing I gotta say today, I think it's a good day for Lawrence County. It's a good day for Neshannock Township. Steel Light announced today that they're gonna do a big expansion in Millennial Park out in Neshannock Township. Tomorrow, it'll be in the paper. Debbie's not here because she's writing an article about that right now. But I think it's a move, one of the first things to move forward in Lawrence County. First thing, and it said 65 years, what I read, something this big has come to Lawrence County. Do you recall anything this?
The only thing that I would equate that with would be the natural gas power plant in North Beaver Township. That was $800 million invested in our county, and they are our largest taxpayer. But other than that, no, this is a big announcement. You're right.
So it's, you know, we always hear the bad news. We need to hear the good news once in a while. And to me, this is really good news. I know the supervisors and the Neshannock Township have worked hard to get this done. Lawrence County Economic Board's working to help them on the final phase of it. And hopefully we all work together to get this thing moving. and it shows that we are moving forward here in Orange County. So I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I appreciate your making that known, and I would concur. It's great news. Steel Light has been located there for a number of years, and now that we know that they are undertaking an expansion, that's good news both for, as you said, Neshannock and the county and the region, even beyond our borders.
It is.
So thank you, Dan, for making note of that. I want to point out that since we last met, last Friday, I attended the bi-monthly meeting of the Northwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission, of which Lawrence County is a member. I happen to chair their board. We had our public board meeting. We've noted here before that Lawrence County is in a unique position. Most counties in Pennsylvania belong to one region, what they call an RDD, a Regional Development District. We're in two different districts. We're in the Southwest and the Northwest. Our membership in the Southwest is with the Southwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission. They're based in Pittsburgh. And our affiliation with the Northwest is, as noted, with the Northwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission. They're based in Oil City, up in Venango County. So we sit on both boards. The composition is different from district to district. For Southwest, there are 5 people from Lawrence County who serve on that board. The 3 of us, Amy McKinney, our planning director, and then we have a private sector member, Mr. Brad Berlin, who is from Wilmington Township. And we have to designate one of the 5, actually it has to be one of the commissioners, has to serve on the Southwest Commission's Executive Committee. And when my 2 colleagues came on board, we felt that Mr. Kennedy would be the most appropriate person to represent us on that Executive Committee. So he now has that responsibility. For Northwest, there are 2 people from Lawrence County who sit on the board. It has to be one of the 3 commissioners and a private sector representative. So I've been serving on the Northwest board since 2020. And the private sector representative, who's actually been on a lot longer than I have, is also from Wilmington Township, Tom McKinley. And as I mentioned, we just had a board meeting last Friday. My term as the chair of that board will finish up at the end of June. I've been serving now for a year and a half. The terms for the chair are 2-year terms. Again, we talked about this and what we anticipate happening mid-year when my chairmanship ends. I'm going to step off the board and we're going to designate Commissioner Sanada to represent us on the Northwest board. So we'll have Dan taking the lead on the Southwest and Chris will be taking the lead on the Northwest. So we'll be very well represented. With Southwest, our primary role in relationship to that organization is for transportation-related matters. And for Northwest, it's for economic development type matters. So again, we have a foot in both regions, and most counties don't. So I think it's an advantage. And I want to thank both my colleagues for their willingness to step up to those leadership positions. That's all I have. Chris?
Thank you, Chairman Vogler. I just want to echo first Commissioner Kennedy's comments on Steel Light. John Lyles does a great job there. They've been great in our community, and this expansion really is good news for Lawrence County today. I know they've talked about it for a few years, and we've had a chance. I know Commissioner Vogler, when that ribbon was cut many years ago, I think former Commissioner Del Signor
Yep,
was there.
That's right.
Before he became county commissioner. So it's been a long time. To see them growing in our community, I think it's very positive for us. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's happening in Harrisburg. Today, the governor will be giving his address before the legislature, talking about the budget, which has a direct effect on us here in Lawrence County. And I'm just going to hit on one subject matter. that I think is important, and doing some research on it, is Governor Shapiro's proposal when he ran for governor about the $250 gas tax rebate that he promised for up to 4 vehicles. And according to my statistics for Lawrence County, that could generate $15 million into our local economy if this rebate would come to fruition. And I know it's been a year. The governor's had a lot on his plate. He's had some good accomplishments this last year with the rent rebate program, which I was happy to see. At the same time, he promised the gas tax rebate. He promised to expand the rent rebate. I commend the governor for that. But on behalf of our 86,000, I believe it's time that Governor Shapiro honor this commitment to the people of Pennsylvania. The money, it would be a one-shot deal. It would not be a continuing resolution, because you have to always be careful when you create a program. They have to be funded each year, and the costs go up with those programs. Harrisburg's sitting on almost $14 billion. Doing this program is very doable. I support it. And I think it's something that would really help our local economy. It will do something for those who go to work every day. And it would help our seniors. So his address would be in about 2 hours. I only read some of the highlights. I would hope this would be part of it. If not, it needs to be addressed. I've talked to a few of my former colleagues. They're anxious to do this as soon as the governor tells them he's willing to do it. I have a few that's willing to introduce the bill. So I want to just bring that out since today's budget day. And when I did the calculating figures, I'm being very conservative when I say $15 million would come into the county with this rebate, up to 4 vehicles. And I think it's a good proposal. This was a big highlight of the governor's campaign. He spent millions of dollars on campaign advertisements telling us that he was going to get this done. And I have great confidence that Governor Shapiro will do this, because when you make campaign promises, I think it's critical that you deliver on them and get stuff done. He's got some stuff done. He's not done yet. This is something I think is important for all, especially rural Pennsylvania, where you have a lot of people with vehicles and they drive to go to work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanada. We'll move on to new business. And we have a couple of proposals this morning from our Public Safety Department, specifically our Director, Mr. Chad Strobel. Good morning, Chad. It's always nice to have you here. Before you begin, I want to thank you. One thing Chad, well, among many things that Chad is good at, Chad keeps the 3 of us informed when major things occur here in this county as it relates to public safety. And sadly, he had to inform us this past weekend of a fatal fire out in Shenango Township. We do appreciate your keeping us informed as these things happen. So Chad, you have, and Vanessa, I'll ask, what's the first number today? 28, thank you. This is proposed resolution 28, and this would be the adoption of the and the repromulgation of the Lawrence County Emergency Operations Plan that would reflect the new Board of Commissioners. But I'll let you give us all the details.
Sure. Every 2 years, we're required internally to do a review of our emergency operations plan. Emergency operations plan just kind of outline how we're going to respond to any major disaster that affects the county. We kind of adopt ours from the state's plan, and the municipalities adopt their emergency operation plan from ours. So it kind of outlines who's responsible for what our resources are, how we're going to respond to various types of incidents, whether it be weather, hazardous materials, acts of violence. But we keep that up to date continuously, but every 2 years we're required to review it internally and approve it, send it back to FEMA. If there's a change in the public safety director or a majority change in the Board of Commissioners, we're required to have it repromulgated so everyone's aware of what is in the plan. So with this, we'll have it repromulgated, and this afternoon we'll get it out to you guys for records down here to keep on hand, and that'll be good for another 2 years. until we have to review it again. So that's what we're looking for.
Thank you, Chad. I thank you for that background. Let me see if Mr. Kennedy has any questions.
No, I have no questions, but I do have a comment.
Sure.
Chris and myself, were out there, I've been there twice to 911 center. And I sat there with two young ladies last week while they were taking a call. And one was on there typing in, and all of a sudden the other one starts talking. And it couldn't have been a second that happened. And she was calling to get help to where they needed to go. But I was impressed at the teamwork you have and the leadership you do. But still remember, when the big truck goes out, I want on it. They got some great equipment. We ought to be proud of our 911 center and the people we have working at. So, thank you,
Appreciate the kind
Chad.
words, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Chris?
I'll just echo Commissioner Kennedy's comments. I had the honor to chair House Veteran Affairs and Emergency Preparedness, and that was under one of my issues that I dealt with. So I worked closely with you, Chad, and your prior leader, and nothing, every time I go there, I'm still impressed by what happens and what you do. And as Commissioner Kennedy said, a couple calls come in, those girls were bang on the spot getting it out there. So I commend you and all your staff. And I think that's what's been so important with us getting into the field. Me and Commissioner Kennedy, we've been doing that for the last, since we got sworn in. And you were our first one. We actually went into the field, and we were very impressed. So keep up the work that you are doing. It's public safety, and I think that's probably one of the most important things that our role as commissioners is.
I appreciate your support
Thank
here and previously. Thank you.
No, I can't say it any better than these two gentlemen did. So I'll simply say ditto. I agree with them.
Much appreciated.
On this. Thank you so much, Chad. We have before us proposed resolution 28. Could I please have a motion for us to consider it?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R 2024-28.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Other discussion or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll ask Vanessa to call the roll.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Chad, you have another issue for us. This is proposed resolution 29. It is, I believe, a renewal of a contract, or is it a new contract?
It's
It's the
renewal.
renewal with an organization known as McCutcheon Enterprises of Apollo, Pennsylvania. And I'll let you explain the details.
One of the many regulations or things we're required to have in Lawrence County is to provide hazardous materials response for emergencies. Many counties around us have their own county hazmat teams. With the number of calls we get involving hazardous materials, wouldn't it be beneficial for us financially or manpower wise or personnel wise? We don't get the number of calls to make people take the training, pay the money for the physicals, the equipment and everything else. So we contract with a state certified hazardous materials response team. We used to use Weavertown many years ago. Since then, we've moved to McCutcheon for probably the last 10 years or so. And one of the requirements is they have to have somebody on site to an incident within 2 hours of being notified. They are able to fulfill that requirement from the state and have provided great service. I laughed. I've never called them before. Until last year, I called them twice for incidents in Lawrence County. One being a triaxle that wrecked on 376 up in between Wilmington and Pulaski, and another one on 422 where we had a motor vehicle crash with a truck caught on fire. So we've used them. They've responded. They've done great work, and it's a $2,500 retainer to keep them on record for us, and they've done great service, and we look forward to working with them again this year and covering our bases for providing hazmat response.
Chad, thank you. Let me ask just two quick questions. When you mentioned about the two incidents, I guess I was expecting you to say, and now that I think about it, I guess I realize why it didn't involve them. But when we had the derailment down in Mahoning Town, but evidently what was being carried on those in those train cars didn't require you to call on this organization. Is that right?
Correct. The railroads are a unique thing. On the railroad, they're on railroad property and kind of railroad responsibility, so they have their own contracted teams. A lot of times they use SPSI, McCutcheon. They'll make the notification for their resources or their commodities that are been spilled. With this incident, the only thing that was considered even potentially dangerous was the one powder they used for paint whiteners and heat treatments and everything, and it was only really a threat if one played with it. So there was no major hazards. There was no reason for us to call a hazardous materials team. We let the Norfolk Southern handle the incident. It was pretty well contained. And soybeans, but soybean was
Those aren't considered hazardous soybeans.
in the water they are, but on the ground they're not.
Okay.
So
Secondly, and let's hope we never have this arise, but if we had a serious, significant incident, and obviously you would call these folks, but would the neighboring counties have the capability of responding as well if you needed them?
yes, it's been quite a few years. Actually, I think it was when Brian was still here. So before 2016, we had an incident down at Covanta on Sampson Street. They had a fire in their on their property.
Remember,
And we called Beaver County Hazmat Team to assist with decontamination because they have a certified hazmat team. Again, they're taxpayer funded, so they're kind of taxed to their municipality, but they're willing to go outside and, help in other counties. But we have called them, and they're the closest hazmat team. Butler has one as well that we can contact for that side of the county. But they're available. We just try to keep them to help their residents.
understood.
They're there.
Let's hope we don't ever have to call them. It's good that they're there, but let's hope we don't have to rely on them.
Agree.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Sanada.
No further comments, it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you. Commissioner Kennedy.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. It probably says so in here, Chad, is this a one-year renewal?
Yes, sir.
Thank
We
you.
do this annual.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gentlemen, if there are no other questions or concerns, could I have a motion for proposed resolution 29?
I move that we approve proposed resolution 29.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. Other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Before you leave, I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Since I took office in 2004, I've had 4 public safety directors with whom I've worked. Frank Giannetti for a brief period of time, and of course, Frank's now your counterpart in Mercer County. And then Brian Melser, and then Jeff Parrish, and now you. This county has been blessed with 4 top-notch professionals. We've been very fortunate to have all 4 of those gentlemen. And I sleep well at night knowing that you're the public safety director.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome to stay, but I'm sure you probably have a lot to do.
Now I gotta go work in some towers.
Okay, you take care.
I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Stay safe. I know you folks, my 2 new colleagues, you've had dealings with Chad so far, and I trust they've been nothing but good. We're blessed.
Him and his whole crew,
Yeah.
good people.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have a proposed administrative transfer that falls under, the first one falls under the Commissioner's office. It's oops, in our packet, mine's in reverse order, so we'll do the voters first, I'm sorry. Voters' office is asking for a transfer of $170 from their contingency line item into their voters' maintenance and repairs line item. That's the first request that we have. And then secondly, by the way, the reason I'm hesitating, it's nothing to do with the request. I do want to note, since we're on the subject, assuming my calendar is correct, next Tuesday, I have election board written down. Does
Yeah,
that
it's
sound right?
under announcement.
Oh, it is. There it is. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you. If anybody is interested, the Board of Elections, which happens to be the 3 commissioners, we will have a public meeting on 1 week from today, Tuesday, February 13 at 8:30 in this room, and that meeting's open to the public. I apologize for digressing. The second request we have is under the Commissioner's office. They are asking for a $9,200 transfer out of the contingency line item into that of materials and supplies. So those are the 2 transfer requests that we have this morning. I can take them both under one motion if you're so willing.
I'll make it a motion to accept the transfers, both the voters and the commissioners.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Chris. Gentlemen, questions, or I apologize, I should have asked for questions or comments before. Forgive me for that. Are there any questions? Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes,
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. We goofed up a little bit last week, Vanessa, and it's no fault of yours. We had you on the agenda last week, and here, by rights, it should have been this week, which it now is. So please come up. Vanessa Lovely is with Lawrence County Social Services, and what we had to do last week, and this is just procedural, we had the proposed resolution. We tabled it for this week. So if you'll bear with us a minute, I'd like, if my colleagues are so willing, could I have a motion? Oh, what number is this one, Vanessa?
Well, the next one will be when you take it off the table, it'll be 30.
30.
So, yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
So
we didn't number it last week.
we did not number it.
No.
Okay, that's fine. So this will be proposed resolution 30. So again, this is all procedural. May I have a motion to take proposed resolution 30 off of the table for us to consider?
so be it.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes,
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you so much. So today, as I mentioned, Vanessa's with us to talk about this proposed resolution for the, and this, I believe, is an ongoing program that your agency offers. This is the Senior Citizen Nutritional Shopping Program. If you'd be kind enough to give us a little update on it, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning. So as Chairman Vogler mentioned, the Senior Citizen Nutritional Shopping Program has been around at least 8 years, because when I returned to LCAP, it was going strong. And what the program allows for is any senior citizen within Lawrence County, any county resident, 65 and over, regardless of income, regardless of municipality where they live, if they need transportation to buy groceries or to go to the farmer's market or food pantries, which became a big thing during COVID, they can sign up with ACTS, the ACTS bus, and instead of paying 15% of their fare, which would be about, on average, $3 per trip, because of the grant and the subsidy through you all, they only pay $1 per trip. And the reason that that's important is that, well, we all know fixed incomes are getting really difficult. Through some of my partnerships, like with Challenges, Options on Aging, they're seeing more and more of the folks that they serve just not being able to afford a vehicle anymore, whether it be repairs or whatnot. So as more and more people are needing public transportation to go to the grocery store, if it costs a little less, they're able to go more often. They're able to have better access to groceries. If they want to go to Walmart, or Sparkle used to be a popular place to take advantage of sales, they're able to do that at $1 per trip. And the reason it's only $1, because they're 65 years of age or older, through the PennDOT lottery funding, 85% of their trip is already discounted. And as I mentioned, that leaves on average $2-3 per trip. And with this $5,165 that we're requesting, that does lower the cost to $1 per trip. But we're also taking advantage of $40,036 from PennDOT. And of course, they're paying the dollar. So this program is growing. ACTS in general is serving more and more senior citizens. And we just ask for consideration to continue this program for our seniors.
Thank you, Vanessa. Let me start with a couple of quick questions. We obviously have some grocery stores on the far northern end of the county, such as Gilliland's up in New Wilmington, and the Shop and Save down in Elwood City, the old La Casana. So if somebody in those regions, in those parts of the county, could they go to those? Is it open to any type of food store?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
there aren't certain ones they can and cannot go to. As long as it sells food, they're able to.
As long as there's fresh food being sold. You
And
know,
you mentioned farm markets.
and farmer
Yes.
markets for sure, and food pantries as well.
Thank you for that. Secondly, I'll ask Joe a quick question. The 5,100 roughly,
Yes.
I assume we budgeted
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been there for a while.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Kennedy, do you have questions for Vanessa?
Do you operate just 5 days a week or just?
6 days.
6 days.
6 days. We operate, I'm sorry,
So that means Fresh Marketplace, I'm from New Wilmington, so I'm familiar with what goes on up there, but we have a Fresh Marketplace starting in the spring. Do people go and use that one on Saturday morning then?
they don't as much as I wish they would, but they could. They could. Our Saturday service area is limited, but New Wilmington is part of it because of our contract with the Newcastle Transit Authority for ADA service. So we have to mirror their service on Saturdays. So long answer to your question, yes.
I know we got one downtown here too, but I don't know, does Elwood have any?
They do, and I think it's on Saturday morning as well, on Beaver Avenue, I believe. Does that sound right? Yes.
So we do cover the county. It's good to hear.
Anything else, Dan? Thank you. Chris?
Thank you for your input today. I think it's a great program. I think anytime we can get our seniors with fresh fruits and vegetables and everything else, it's a win-win, I believe, for the amount of money we're talking about. It's important, and I know a lot of our seniors, they rely on this service or they wouldn't be getting fresh fruits and everything. So just keep up with the work.
Thank you, Chris. What I could do at this time is ask for a motion for us to approve, if you're so willing, proposed resolution 30.
I move that we approve resolution 30.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Thank you, Dan. Comments or discussion beyond what we've already had? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Vanessa, as always, we appreciate your joining us today.
Thank you
You're
so much.
always welcome here.
Thank you. Thank you all.
You bet. Excuse me. A couple of announcements. The Board of Commissioners will meet a week from today in this room at 10 o'clock. It's a public meeting. You're all welcome. Later this morning, the Lawrence County Opioid Advisory Board, Mr. Vanasco happens to sit on that board, they will be holding their public meeting at 12 noon here in this room, if you're interested in attending. And as I mentioned earlier, 1 week from today, on February 13, the Board of Elections, which consists of the three of us, will be holding a public meeting at 8:30 here. And I was looking for retirement board because I believe,
It's also next Tuesday.
yes, thank you. The retirement board, which consists of the three commissioners, the county controller, and the county treasurer, that board will meet also a week from today at 12 noon. It's open to the public in this room. So we have actually 3 meetings next Tuesday. Election board at 8:30, the regular commissioners meeting at 10 o'clock, and then the retirement board, which is a quarterly meeting, That board will convene at 12 noon, as I mentioned. That's a 5-member board, so you're welcome to attend any or all of those meetings.
Yeah, that's immediately following the commissioners meeting.
Oh, did I say 12 noon? I'm sorry. As usual, Vanessa keeps me in line. The retirement board will convene upon adjournment of the commissioners meeting. So we usually adjourn between about now and 11 usually. So right around that time, and we usually take about a 5-minute break. So thank you for catching me on that. I'm sorry, it's not at 12 noon. It's after the completion of the commissioners meeting. Thank you, Vanessa.
So you gotta keep it short next week.
Okay, I'll do my level best. I've always said, when Commissioner Boyd was chair, those meetings went boom, boom, boom. We got out of here pretty early. He ran a tight meeting and a good meeting. Public comment. Let me open the floor for anybody that wishes. Mrs. Burchett.
I have 3 questions. Mr. Kennedy, you said that Still Light or Still Life
Still like,
is expanding in the Shannick Township. I assume that that'll bring more tax revenue into the township.
I can't answer that right now. I don't know the deal that was made with that. I'm sure it'll be brought to our, what they've done to get them to come here, but I don't know exactly what it is yet.
Okay. Well, that leaves my second question. Mr. Sinata, you said that Governor Shapiro wants to send a $250 tax rebate to Lawrence County. Will that $250 go to the individuals or to the county?
Now, I said that was a proposal which he made. That would be $250 per vehicle, up to 4 vehicles, which you would own. So that would go throughout. That doesn't come to us at all. That would go to you individually. If you own 1 car, you would get $250. If you own 4 cars, you get $1,000. That's capped for a car. That was the proposal that was made.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that to people's attention because it's been a year now, and I just think it's important. I think that would generate help. People with their gas bills, insurance bills, and other issues that are having, as you've seen with our friend from LCAP talking about people buying, people are hurting financially, many people, and if you happen to have a vehicle, $250 can go a long way. So the county would benefit because it would be in people's pockets to be spending. We would not benefit as a government.
Okay, that's what I wanted to have clarified. I know it's a proposal, but I just needed that clarification.
Yeah, I just want to bring it out to the attention because it hasn't been talked about for a long time. And I figured with the governor giving his address today, that was I have a copy of what he proposed over a year and a half ago. So I just want to keep that out there because this is one proposal that has not been completed.
Thank you.
Mr. Burchett.
I can't get excited over all these things you people get excited about. Now, one would be Still Light. Maybe I don't quite understand the situation. I thought Still Light was a Chinese outfit. Okay, and what do they do? Is it a distribution center? Or do they make these plates or what do they do? What's Still Light do?
You know more about them probably I do, don't you? Or-
They were originally a company based in Great Britain. That's my recollection. If I misstate something, gentlemen, please correct me. And Mr. Kennedy referenced a gentleman by the name of John Miles, who was born and raised here in Lawrence County. In fact, Mr. Miles' grandparents were next door neighbors to my grandparents out on the Elwood Road in Slippery Rock Township back in the 1960s, but that's neither here nor there. I think along the way, Still Light, when it was still based in Great Britain, built the warehouse and distribution facility out at Millennium Park in Neshannock. That's the building that's there today. My recollection is that Mr. Miles, and perhaps along with some other investors, either bought the company or went out on their own. It was one of the two. And have grown. The company has actually grown over the number of years. And from what we understand, and I've not seen the printed announcement, but we've been made aware of it, that they do plan to expand at the site in Mechanic Township. Now, I'm not sure if that'll be manufacturing or distribution or both. I'm hoping it's both. Maybe you know a little bit more on that than I do.
From what I hear, we'll be manufacturing in both.
It's like probably back in, that you can start flipping the plate again to see where it's made.
Mr. Burchett, just to let you know, we were just told this 15 minutes before we came to the meeting, thanks to Debbie not being here. And you'll probably read a great story of hers
Okay,
tomorrow.
no, looking forward to the story.
And
Okay, I'm also looking forward to, the governor giving me $1 million. I just wish he wouldn't take the money off of me to start with and then make a big deal about giving it back to me, all right? And that really doesn't sit too well with me, all right? And the third thing, the ACT bus again. These people, they ride, if you look around Newcastle, all you see is ACT buses, all right? These people go everywhere on the ACT bus, and it only costs them $1. It's ridiculous for those people to only pay $1. They should be paying part of their share, all right? We like to be nice, let them pay for go $1. But you don't realize that somebody else is paying the 85% is paid off to begin with, all right? Now, if somebody would start paying 85% of my bills, then I'd be willing to pay them, all right? But it's ridiculous to charge $1 for these people, all right? Now, and there will be less abuse of the system. Anybody that would use it should be willing to pay $5 to go to the grocery store, all right? You ask us to pay $40 to fill up your gas tank to go to the grocery store, but you don't ask these people to pay $5 to go to the grocery store. That should be part of that. They're probably getting free food to begin with, all right? Go pick up the free food. What do they do with all their money? I don't know. I thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a terrible person for thinking the way I do. I know.
Mr. Burchett, I just would like to comment though on that this really isn't coming out of tax dollars.
It's coming out of
A lot of
tax dollars. Somebody else, the federal government might be giving you the money, but they don't even have the money to give you.
No, it's coming from the gambling. It's coming from the lottery fund. That's what it
Okay,
is.
then give it to us.
Well, but that's the gambling.
Give back
That's
more
not-
money back to the gamblers.
Well, the gamblers gamble and it goes to help our senior citizens in Pennsylvania. One of the aspects is the property tax rent rebate program, as well as transportation. That's what subsidizes the transportation system, and ACT falls under that guideline. So there's really no tax dollars involved. It comes from gambling. So just to clarify that point.
Okay.
Thank you both. Other questions from folks in the audience?
Have just one.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it gonna bring more jobs when they expand? Have you been told any about that? I know you got it 15 minutes before. I was just curious.
most likely it will, from what I was told. We'll probably know more once our friend Debbie writes the article. I could only talk to her for 2 minutes, and she called Dan, and Dan was on his way down the steps.
We missed each other.
So,
I would anticipate, I hope I'm right, that at a minimum, there'll be some construction jobs.
Oh,
If they plan to build a new building.
Well, that I figured. I just meant within the walls. That's a good thing for us. at this
if
point.
it's a distribution center, someone's got to run it, and
Somebody's got to pack those skids,
Yeah,
right, to get it
yeah.
out.
so.
But still, like, they do a lot of, they get the wear, and they have people that do the designing and make the plates. So they're like raw plates that I've seen them able to do that. So I would just assume that would be expanded as well. That's where a lot of the skills involved. And, it's theoretically not making the plate, it may come from England, but they actually design it and make it. They do a great job. It's been a few years since I've toured the facility, but a lot of that, and like I said, we don't have all the details, but no matter how you cut, whether it's distribution or they make more plates, it's all positive.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
No, and I like Mr. Burchett's comment about the plate flippers. Yeah.
Made in China.
I do know they talked about bringing something from out of the country in here to work let's let Debbie give us the story and,
Sounds like a plan.
she's digging into it because she wouldn't even come. I need to get this done today, so I'll be looking to read her newspaper article tomorrow.
And I suspect, and Mr. Kennedy represents us on the board of Forward Lawrence, the Economic Development Corporation. And I would imagine in the near future, you'll be hearing something from them as well in your capacity as a board member.
Actually, this past Saturday, poor Ben Bush had COVID all last week.
Mhm.
So Saturday, he called me and said, hey, I'm feeling better. So we met for a little bit this Saturday afternoon and talked about some stuff. This was brought up. I knew it was coming, but I don't know the whole details of it. Ben and I were talking about some other things that got to lead up to helping this out too. So there'll be, we'll be involved in it, I'm sure, the three commissioners
Okay.
somewhere, but it's just a right move. You know, we hear all the bad things in Orange County. It's about time. And there'll be people that'll put negative comments out there about it. There always is, but we got to start focusing on what's going on here and what's the good things. This is way before Chris and I decided to even run for this. There's been a lot of stuff working down the pipe to get here. And I got to say one thing, you know, Leslie Butchie is, we love her dearly, but she's a passion for that township. And she pushes. And her and Joe and Steve, we got to give our hats off. They didn't stop, you know, so
No, I agree.
thank you to them for getting this done too.
And I think
Mr. Miles.
Ben's a good thing coming.
Mr. Miles, you know, we got to ultimately thank him. He could have chose to move this somewhere else and said, you know, I don't need to be in Orange County. I could go somewhere else, but he chose to stay here. And we thank him for doing that too. I've never met the gentleman, but I hope someday to meet him and thank him personally for making sure he made a commitment, because that's a big commitment.
It shows the growth coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you.
Thank you.
I would add too that the fact that the facility sits right next to Interstate 376, which connects you with Interstate 80 or the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which goes back to the importance of having interstates
Yes.
run through your county, which there are counties in Pennsylvania that do not have any interstates going through them. So I think there's an advantage there. Mrs. Burchett, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, I have another question. Mr. Kennedy says that he just discovered that this situation was still like 15 minutes before he got here. And Debbie Walter already knew about it. And I'm wondering why the commissioners weren't apprised of this before the newspaper staff. Now, I know that having worked for the newspaper, that the news release comes from the progenitor, and then the newspaper staff is assigned to the story to do an investigation that needs to be done. However, I just don't understand why the commissioners didn't know about it sooner, before Debbie.
Dorothy, I've known about it since I came here, really. This was being worked on. But until, you know, we can't really go out and say, hey, this is going to happen until Steel Light decides they're going to make the move and announce what they're doing. 5 o'clock this morning, I read it online. That's how I knew at 5 o'clock this morning. And I knew it was coming just when. You know, we could announce a lot of things, but realistically and legally, we can't do any of that until the company that's going to do an expansion does it. It could be bad for them in one way or good for them in another way. But until Mr. Miles decided he was going to announce it, or someone in his operations decided they were going to announce it, it had to be sometime maybe last night, and it got out on the news wire. And then I knew, but Debbie gave me some more information this morning that it is finally out there. So, and she's working hard doing what she does, like you do. You know.
Well, I'm not challenging the announcement to the public. I'm just, it sounded to me like Debbie knew before you did, and maybe that's not the case.
No, I knew, I even talked to her last Friday about something. I knew them, but I couldn't tell her. You know, I couldn't, that just, confidentiality, you just can't do that being on the Orange County Economic Board. There's a lot of things going on that I can't say. And it goes with all three of us. But when it does come out, it's good news. And that's the best thing. But, we've got some other stuff going down the pike in Orange County here, and hopefully, we keep our fingers crossed, we hit another 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And, we just gotta keep moving forward, what we can do. There's even some on my way coming down the pike. And we're glad to have it happen. People are investing in Orange County. That's the good part of it. We'll get dividends in the future.
Any other comments or questions? Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Mr. Sanada, anything?
No, just to thank everyone who came today and look forward to hopefully we keep having positive news coming our direction. I think that, as Commissioner Kenny says, there is positive things going out there. To reject what he's saying. There's things that we have ideas that are happening. People there's things we really can't talk about in a public meeting until they officially make that announcement. I know Mr. Miles has been working on this for a couple of years. To expand and things that have to happen all throughout, whether it's through the economic development, through RCAP, through things like that. So, this is curation of something that's been going on a long time, and I'm just so happy. He is a true gentleman. He's committed to Lawrence County. I've met him many occasions. I worked with him when I was in the House. So, that's what's important. And I think when you get good news, this is something positive for everybody. So, and I thank Mr. Miles as well, because you know what? Like Commissioner Kenny, he could pick anywhere. And I know they have a facility in Youngstown, and they had moved a little bit over there, and they were focusing on a different avenue for here. And this is the reality. This came about, just great news for all of us.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioner Kennedy, any closing comments?
I think we got a good meeting, so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for being here. When we adjourn, Mr. Vanasco will then the computer in the back, but that being said, may I please, Joe or Vanessa, anything we've missed to your knowledge? Okay, thank you. May I please have an adjournment motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for joining us today.
You didn't have anything to say today.
Just beat me.